I mean, there's a certain hurt that I still feel every time I talk about it.
It's just a heavy feeling. Like you just.
You're listening to part 2 of Let's Start Healing's conversation with Charles Gilbert, Russell Murchison, and David Thomas on men and mental health. And in this segment, they are discussing loss, coping with things that are beyond their control as men. Following the upcoming third segment, the full episode will be published at a later date. For now, let's start healing.
I have the superhero complex where I've learned this with my therapist. I'm always, if there's a problem, I'm always quick to try to fix it, you know. And for the first time, I wasn't able to fix this. You know, my mom was going through, she was going through her cancer battle, and I was not able to do anything. Not physically doing it. I couldn't physically take this away from her. And it was frustrating because I'm seeing, this woman who is my world struggle, and there's nothing I can do about it, and I had to, through talking to my therapist, but then just, talking to my village of people, and not like all of them just was like, just give it to God. You that's the only thing you can do, is just pray and give it to God. And I remember going to her best friend's gravesite, and I just sat there in the middle of January and just had this conversation, and I let it go because I knew there was nothing I can do. I knew that if it was in his will, she would overcome this. Mm-hmm. And she has, and that's where I stand with that. So
wow, thank you so much for sharing that, Charles.
I rarely do I feel powerless in the way of understanding life and understanding that there are things that I can't control, so I don't worry about it. And so that's the foundation of how I am. Like, me, I'm not a worrier. I don't concern myself with things that I can't control. Where in my life I felt God has stepped in from a mental health standpoint was my anger. And coming into manhood, I always tell people, I grew up in the hood, like not like anything crazy, but I grew up in the hood. So if you've grown up in the hood, you understand what comes with the hood, and you understand that you wear your manhood as a badge of honor. And there are times where you hit extreme conflicts with people, and it may feel as if it's life or death. But I can tell you, as a 43-year-old man, none of those situations should have been life or death. And those are the situations in which I felt like God came and stepped in to prevent me from doing something that would derail my life. Mm-hmm. And there were multiple instances of that. Mm-hmm. And in that weighs a lot on, that talks about men's mental health and just manhood. When a young boy turns 18, he's considered a man by the eyes of society. And he really shouldn't be. He should be afforded the same protections as a young adult, as a young child, but it's thrusted. You're thrusted right into manhood. And that comes with a lot of mistakes. And it comes with a lot of life lessons that you have to learn the hard way. And so God is always going to be there for the people who seek him. And I grew up Catholic, of course, as you know. And when I was 17, we converted deliberately to other forms of Christianity because of my questions for Catholicism. And so with that, I never turned away from Catholicism. It gave me the freedom of understanding that these religions are regional. God is everywhere. So it doesn't matter if you're practicing a different religion than I am. When you're growing up, if you're seeking God and you're seeking those virtues, he'll be there for you. And therefore, in my life, it hasn't been about despair. It's been more about protecting me from the bad side.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like my life was a battle of good and evil. I've never felt like I don't know what the word is, but I've never felt like I was the victim. I felt like I was the antagonist if it was a dire situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my victimness makes me angry. My weakness makes me angry. Anything that goes wrong in my life, like say for instance, I used to tell my homeboy Dave all the time. I was like, yo, I'm driving this car. Y'all pardon my French. It ain't gonna be too crazy. And somebody might swerve into my lane. And I was like, yo, if he hits me, I'm beating his ass. That's what I would say. Like, that's the kind of anger I had. Like, if you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. Like, I don't even want to get your insurance. And it's so funny that in my adulthood, I have been hit 2 times. And when I told him, he was like, man, I'm just glad you ain't get out the car and beat their ass. Because that's the type of anger that I used to
Mm-hmm.
walk around with. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have a big brother. I got into some fights, and like when I turned into a man, I was like, yo, it's on me to rectify anything that I feel like is wrong. And if anybody does anything wrong to me and I hurt them, it's God's will. Like that's how I walk around in life. So for me, it's different. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't say that to be funny, and I don't say that as like a badge of honor. It's just a different battle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I walk around trying to be the most peaceful, most docile, most kind-hearted Russ I can be, because the truth of the matter is it's all fire in here. It's just the honest to God truth. That's how I feel when it comes to like protecting my family, when it comes to like somebody doing something to me or violating me. The first thing I'm thinking about is how can we eliminate this problem? And so that's how God is most instrumental in my life, is
Yeah.
calming that all the way down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if people understand, but there's
I
somebody
get
out
it.
there that gets it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like we were talking about watching Draymond Green on the pivot. I
Mm-hmm.
get it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get it. But yeah.
Well, I'll tell the condensed version of my most awful year. And we're coming up on the anniversary, 44 years. July 7th was when my mom passed. And it's still, to this day, it still hurts when I talk about it. And so I was leaving to move to Houston from Akron. And she ended up leaving the house because she didn't want to be there when I left. And little did I know that was going to be the last time that I saw her alive. And so I go to Houston, May 21st. She dies on July 7th. I come home to Akron to get to go to the funeral. That's my first time on the airplane ever. And I'm crying like a baby because I'm going to bury my mom. And I get back, my father says, well, David, there's nothing here in Akron for you. You need to make your a life for yourself. Go ahead and move back to Houston, go to Houston. So that's what I do. 3.5 months later on Thanksgiving Day, he dies. So in that span, I lose both parents, and 81 was tough. And so fortunately, I was with the person that became my wife. She was my girlfriend, and she became my girlfriend after my mother died. And then we ended up getting, she said, well, 81 was such a bad year. Why don't we make 82 a good year and get married on New Year's Eve, a day rather. So we get married on New Year's Day. And it was through that time that, and I owe her a lot of credit for that, that she helped me get past that as much as I could get past it. I mean, there's a certain hurt that I still feel every time I talk about it, and that will never go away. But it was because of her that I was able to focus, and it was good that I was away from home too, because that helped. Because I don't know what I would have done if I had to go back in that house day in and day out when no parents were there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So my younger brothers were 16, and so they had to kind of raise themselves from 16 on. And so we've all made it good. None of us been put in jail, and and we all are living productive lives. And so I give God all the praise for that. But that was my most difficult year to overcome.
Wow. Wow. Russ, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Do you want to share anything? I can edit it out if so.
Nah, you good. It's cool. I mean, there's nothing I'm embarrassed about. You know, I can relate. David, you don't know. You might not know. It's so crazy because everything about that is is very close. You know, I was born in '82, so it's so funny that you said y'all were gonna make that the best year of your life. But my mom passed away in May. Oh, not this May. It was May 4 years ago. She passed away in May of 2021. And then my father passed away in January of
Oh wow.
2022.
Mhm.
So I know your pain.
Yeah. That's something too that I used to tell people, that people will come up and say they're sorry. I say, until you lost your parents, you'll never know what it's like.
Yeah, man.
Because people can try to empathize as much as they can, but you will never know until you experience it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially when you lose them that close. Because you're holding on to the one that's still alive. And our situations were similar. We lost our mothers first. And then it's just like, all right, you really focused on hoping your father's around in whatever capacity. And that's when that true manhood hits you. You don't have any parents. You you out here, you know?
I'll pray for you.
I pray for you too, bro. I appreciate it. I'm okay. I mean, I don't mind crying, but it's a real emotion.
Yeah,
Your life, it resonates, you know?
right.
I understand. I really do.
Well, can I ask you, when you say, I mean, I know the pain
Yeah, you
of
can
the
ask
of
me
the
anything.
loss.
I'm all right.
I know the pain of the loss.
Yeah,
You just said that true manhood hits you.
yeah.
Can you share more about that? What
I
we
mean,
wind down?
I know just hearing how David spoke about his father. It's so funny because my best friend's name is David.
Mhm.
How David spoke about his father. Um, his relationship may have been different from mine, my relationship with my father was one of it was distant in a physical form, but it was super close in a love spiritual communication form. And so my dad was like, you know how like some people in a movie they have like a leadership council, or they have some oracle that they can go to, you know what I mean? Like where they can just, bounce whatever is going on in life, no matter what it is, they can bounce it off of that person or this council or whatever. That's how my dad was for me. And going through the whole process of my mom passing away, I was grieving my mom. And then hold on, I gotta blow my nose. All right, sorry. So I was grieving my mom, and I knew physically he was having a hard time. And in his wisdom, he was preparing me for if he passed. And I felt like he was preparing me for that when I went to go see him when my son was 2. I went to see him for Thanksgiving, and we had some conversations, and I just left feeling so sad because I felt like he was talking to me like he was about to die. And then fast forward, my mom passes away suddenly, and I'm the one that found her and had to call 911. It was just tough. And in that, I'm talking to my dad about these things while he's going through his own health issues or his own battles. And selflessly, he puts on the biggest sorry, the biggest form of being a father. Like he's just being my dad. Like, man, I'm your dad, man. You're good. And then he falls, and they take him to the hospital, and this is still post COVID, but close to COVID. We just got the vaccine that year and everything, and so he's on the ventilator. I have to fly to Louisiana. I get there, and our communication level was so strong that even with a ventilator, I could see him responding to me through his eyes. So we get him unsedated, and he comes out of it, and he's good. And so from October to January when he passed, everything was about making sure everybody was all right in case he was gone. And he passes away in January. And in that moment, the grief of just not having both of your parents is so heavy. It's just a heavy feeling. Like it's like, yo, the people that brought me here, both of them are gone, and I lost them relatively in the same time. And I know that it's been people that had worse experiences than I have. You know what I'm saying? I got to be with my parents for 39 and 40 years. and or 38 years. I can't count right now, and I'm good with numbers, but at the end of the day, I know people have lost their parents at younger ages. I know people that have lost their parents at the same time. I know people that have never gotten to know their parents. I know some people who have parents on this earth and they feel like they don't have parents. So I don't say this from a place of why me or anything like that. But it's definitely God that gets you through that and gets you through that feeling. Even though I'm crying, it's not because I'm sad. I'm crying because I feel it, you know? And that's all. It's a, I had a baby, And either one of them got to meet her. You know,
Yeah.
crazy. It's a crazy feeling, man. And it's so crazy. You could pick a day and she'll look like my dad. She was born the day after my dad. But in a normal situation, she always looks like my mom. And when she gets angry, she looks like me. And it's so wild, man. So wild.
And that's what I told my daughter, that I have to stick around long enough for my grandson to be able to remember who I am, because I never knew either of my grandfathers, and my grandmothers died when I was 12 and 14, respectfully. So I didn't have a long time with them. So I got to try to stay around as long as I can.
Same here, man. Same here.
Wow, you guys.